Japan in the early 18th century. After a century of Tokugawa rule, the nation is at peace. Around 1 million people throng the streets of Edo. It is one of the biggest cities on earth. In 1716, Tokugawa Yoshimune becomes 8th in the line of shoguns. But he takes the helm of a system on the verge of collapse. Festering political and economic challenges are eroding trust in the shogunate. In just 4 years, Yoshimune will put Japan on a new path that will better the lives of generations to come. How did he do it? Japan, home of the samurai. They were much more than mighty warriors, also possessed of surpassing wisdom. A wisdom they would use to change their world and bring forth a new era of peace. A wisdom bequeathed to the people of modern-day Japan. Samurai wisdom. Yoshimune was born in 1684. He was the 4th son of the daimyo of Ki province in modern-day Wakayama. He counted Tokugawa Ieyasu as his great-grandfather. But as the youngest son in a Tokugawa branch clan, Yoshimune was far from the seat of power. The records of the domain tell the story of his early years. He was raised outside the castle and loved to fish and hunt. The records document his prowess as a fisherman. It's said he stood 180 centimeters tall, far above average for his day, that he threw sumo wrestlers with ease. And with a single shot, he killed a huge boar that took 15 men to carry. But when he was 22, everything changed. In less than a year, Yoshimune's father and 2 elder brothers died, and he was appointed the daimyo of Ki. But even greater responsibilities were waiting. In 1716, the boy shogun Ietsugu died at the age of 8, leaving no successor. The Tokugawa turned to Yoshimune to succeed as shogun. He was 33 years old. Yoshimune took the reins of a shogunate in dire financial straits. He turned to the daimyos for help. If the problem is not addressed, hundreds of retainers must be dismissed. I therefore ask you to contribute 1% of your rice stores. I swallow my shame and request your compliance. This appeal raised an amount that covered the shogunate's immediate needs. Having saved the shogunate from default, Yoshimune set out to restore its long-term financial health. But that was only one of his challenges. An ancient enemy was stalking the streets of Edo, where more and more people were living in crowded conditions. The new shogun found Edo Castle in the grip of panic. For 2 months, fires had been raging all over the city. Conflagrations were so common that Edo was known as the City of Fires. The cause was overcrowding. Half of Edo's population of 1 million was samurai with large estates. That left only 1/3 of the space for the townspeople who were flocking to the city. The area for townspeople had a density of 60,000 people per square kilometer, 10 times that of modern Tokyo. People lived in single rooms in closely spaced row houses. These long, narrow buildings were made of highly flammable materials like wood and paper. Sewers between the buildings were roofed with wooden planks. In a conflagration, these ditches became conduits for flame, spreading the fire with terrifying speed. Overcrowded tenements played a major role in making Edo fires so hard to control. Before Yoshimune, the shogunate relied on fire brigades made up of samurai. Their priority was to protect Edo Castle and their own properties. But when fire threatened the tenements, they had to respond. Oishi Manabu studies the history of early modern Japan. He says that before Yoshimune, firefighting in the tenement districts was rarely effective.
本当ね、火を消すっていうのは軍役って言って武士の本来の仕事の一つだったんですよね。ですがやっぱり町人地と武家地っていうのは離れてて、で駆けつけるわけですよね。ですからそうすると時間もかかるし、一番の原因はねやっぱりでも町の土地勘がないっていうことだと思います。普段武士たちはそこ行きません。長屋の方はねあんまり行きませんからね。
Yoshimune proposed a solution. Townspeople could fight fires themselves. Edo's local fire brigades were born. 47 brigades, each one covering 20 neighborhoods, were created in 1720. And each brigade had a banner called a matoi for its members to follow. These matoi marked a samurai commander's headquarters in the field. Now the townsmen became frontline soldiers defending their neighborhoods. One of them was the Na Brigade. Takayanagi Hirokazu descended from a Na Brigade leader. His family history is the history of Edo firefighting.
例えばこの私どもの名組だと伝図院前にね番小屋って言って小屋があったの。日の宮蔵に若い者が当番で上がってるのね。それでずっと監視をしてるわけ、その自分の地域を。と煙が上がると半鐘を鳴らす。でカンカンカンカンカンカンっていうのは集まれっていう唱歌で、出動の時にはカンカンカンカンカンカン、これ3番っていう。
The Na Brigade fielded nearly 300 men. Many of its members worked in construction.
まあ昔の江戸な市中なんていうのはこういう長屋なんだね。まあこう六軒長屋、まあ、もっと長い長屋もあった屋に聞いてますけれども、これ例えば、まあ、北風がこう吹き上げる。そうするとまあ仮にここで火事が起きました。そうするとこの火事を消さない、 これはもうこれをぶっ壊す、これも捨てちゃう、でここに日よけ地を作る。
Fire breaks were chosen by the brigade leader. The lead firefighter would plant his banner on a rooftop to signal that the house ahead of him should be demolished. In an age without pumps to bring water from rivers and canals, it was hard to fight fires directly. The best strategy was to contain them and wait for them to burn out.
この風が強いと、これをぶっ壊してる間にこの屋根に乗っかってるまとい餅あぶられちゃうよね。そうするとこの200人からのね、人間たちが一生懸命これこう壊すんだけど、壊しきれなくなった時にこのまとい餅が死んじゃうんだ。
Takayanagi cherishes a Na Brigade banner handed down by his predecessors.
町のため、その自分の生まれ育った町のため、ここのおばさん、ここの子供たちを殺さないっていうその使命感と、まあそういうことじゃないかな。
These fearless men were the heroes of Edo. They were a bulwark of protection for their neighborhoods. Yoshimune also had laid out wide streets and boulevards throughout the city. Areas destroyed by fire were left as fire breaks. His vision transformed Edo into a metropolis that could hold its own against the scourge of fire.
やっぱりね、吉宗がアウトドアの将軍だったっていうことが大きいと思います。やっぱり歴代将軍ってそれまでの将軍たちってのはどっちかといえば江戸城の中で帝王学を学んでね、そして学者なんかを横に置いたりっていう、そういう行政のやり方あり方してたんですけどもね、吉宗の場合は鷹狩りに行ったりで外をずっと見て歩くわけですね、庶民の生活を。だから町人たちの意見あるいは生き方、そういうものを大事にしていこうっていうところはあったと思います。
300 years have passed, but Edo's citizen firefighters are still on the job. Modern fire brigades are crewed by local residents from all walks of life, from salarymen and small business owners to public servants. After work, they gather for fire drills. Takayanagi Yoshimasa is Hirokazu's son. He's in the construction business. He's also a member of the local fire brigade.
やはり各地域に根付いて自分たちの町は自分たちで守るという地域を大事に一番に考えるということで精一杯精進しているところでありますね。はい。
The spirit of Edo's firemen is still the core of modern firefighting in Japan. As shogun, Yoshimune faced another daunting foe. One of his aides left a first-hand account. A plague is spreading throughout Edo. In a single month, 80,000 have died. There are too many bodies to cremate. Most victims are wrapped in straw matting and cast into Edo Bay. The pandemic that ravaged Edo in 1716 may have been influenza. the city's densely crowded neighborhoods were the ideal environment for the spread of disease. Every year brought new contagions, from influenza to measles and smallpox. And every year, thousands died. Yet most people were forced to rely on prayers and magic charms to ward off sickness. In the early 18th century, Japan relied on medicines and medicinal herbs imported from China. They were expensive and only available to the privileged few. Yoshimune was determined to change this. Japan had to become self-sufficient in medicines. That meant finding supplies of raw materials. First, to understand medicinal herbs in detail, Yoshimune eased the shogunate's century-old restrictions on imports of foreign books. He obtained books on medicinal herbs written by Dutch experts and thoroughly researched how to cultivate them. And in 1720, he assembled a team of picked experts to study medicinal herbs. Here too, Yoshimune reached out for civilian, not samurai, expertise. Niwa Shohaku was a physician studying medicinal plants. Noro Genjo, another physician, had translated a reference work on botany from Dutch. Abe Tomonoshin hailed from northeast Japan and studied medicinal herbs in China. And Uemura Masakatsu, who had been a farmer.
この人はちょっと異色で、紀州藩の時代吉宗の側近にこう仕えて、で草履なんかをこう担当していたっていうですねことを言われています。でその時吉宗が「お前は農民出身だからこういう薬草の仕事っていうのは向いてるはずだ」と言っておどけながらこう命じたっていうんですね。だから親しみやすい近くにいたそういう人で、ですから吉宗としてはなんかこう官僚制の中でこう育ってきたというよりは在野でしっかりとこう活動していたそういう人たちを集めてこうグループを作っていったということが言えます。
The four men set out across Japan, researching and compiling data on medicinal herbs and their benefits. Samples were sent back to Edo, where they were compared with Chinese samples. The team discovered 70 medicinal herbs growing wild in Japan. Yoshimune established a medicinal botanical garden in Edo. Today, his garden is preserved as Koishikawa Botanical Garden. Yoshimune experimented with the effects of medicinal herbs and cultivated them in quantity for distribution to merchants. He also set aside part of the garden as a sanitarium that offered free herbal treatments. Edo's growing population included increasing numbers of the poor. Here they could find medical care where lack of money was no obstacle. Yoshimune also launched a nationwide push to disseminate information on medicinal herbs. In 1729, the shogunate published a compendium of information concerning Chinese herbal remedies. Kosoto Hiroshi is a scientist who researches Oriental medicine. He finds that an impressive range of illnesses can be treated at home using Yoshimune's compendium. if you feel the symptoms of a developing cold, you can treat it with 5 medicinal herbs.
葛根、黄金、芍薬、甘草、夏目、大草と言いますが、夏目を水で煮詰めて、それを、3つに分けて朝昼晩飲みなさいというように、今の漢方薬とほとんど似た飲み方書いてある、作り方飲み方書いてあります。
This recipe is for an ointment when a child has developed a boil on her head.
昔はちょっとね、衛生的にも不衛生な面があったんで、出来物が結構多かったんですよ。それにはもちろん黄連とか甘草とか漢方薬混ぜます。特に黄連っていうのはベルベリンという殺菌剤、殺菌成分が入っていて、今でも非常にベルベリン製剤はよく使われます。
Dried coptis appears in many prescriptions to treat intestinal complaints like diarrhea. Here's another prescription. In case of a cold or headache, take white scallion root porridge. The book includes prescriptions with everyday ingredients even the poor could afford.
幕府がお金を出して、安い値段で全国に売りましたから、非常に一般に普及したと思いますよ。はい、それで助けられた庶民は多かったんじゃないでしょうかね。
Yoshimune found innovative ways to listen to the people. One was boxes for submitting suggestions. Using these boxes, members of the public could voice their thoughts directly to the shogun. Yoshimune himself carried the key to these boxes. With this novel initiative, he could incorporate the voices of the people in his policies. The importance of public sentiment was something he never forgot. Asukayama in northern Tokyo. The area is famous for its cherry trees. They began as a gift from Yoshimune of 1,270 trees from Edo Castle. Yoshimune loved hunting with falcons in this area. The cherry trees were originally meant to provide enjoyment for the shogun, but Yoshimune had Asukayama opened to the public. Kubono Kimiko is a historian of Asukayama. She says Yoshimune's ideals drove his creation of this cherry blossom paradise.
吉宗が飛鳥山を開発するにあたりましては、単に、自分権力者の目を慰めるだけではなくてですね、老若男女誰でもがここに来て、楽しめるように民と楽を共にせらるるという理念を持ちまして、この地を開発し開放したというふうに伝えられています。
Sharing joy with the people. Admiring cherry blossoms was a time-honored tradition. But holding banquets under the flowering trees was Yoshimune's innovation. It was a completely new way to enjoy the spring spectacle.
江戸の人たちにとっての遊び場、ストレスの発散の場が少ないんではないかと考えたようなんですね。ですのでこういう江戸の市中から少し離れた自然の多い自然に囲まれた土地でその気晴らしをしてもらおうということだったと思います。人々は仮装を自らして楽しんだり狂言をして周りの花見客に見せたり それぞれが、自分たちが主役という楽しみ方をして、そして飲んだり食べたり、歌を歌ったりという現在の東京の花見と同じような風景が見られるようになったんですね。
Viewing spring cherry blossoms became one of the year's biggest events for the people of Edo. Flower viewing box lunches were all the rage. They featured spring delicacies like wild mountain plants and fresh fish from Edo Bay. Thanks to Yoshimune, Edo's citizens soon had many places to enjoy spring blossoms. Cherry trees lined the Sumida River and stood on high ground overlooking the sea. Many aspects of modern Japan can be traced directly to Yoshimune, a shogun like never before.
儒学的なねこう王様っていうんですかね、こう帝王というのは自らの身を清めてしっかり生きていくことが、それをみんながこう見習ってくれて、社会がみんなこう平和になってこう性質が保たれる、そういうふうにこう考えていた人たちがリーダーとしてずっといたんですね。ところが吉宗はそうじゃなくて、直接自分が社会に働きかけて、受け身じゃなくて能動的に社会と関わることによって社会がこう活性化していく、あるいは社会が安定していく、そういう道をこう選んだ将軍なんですよね。
Yoshimune died in 1751 at the age of 68. Since then, 3 centuries have passed. Tokyo replaced Edo and became the world's biggest city. The cherry blossoms bear witness to Yoshimune's vision and his concern for ordinary people. He was a shogun who gave them and Japan a better future.